ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Well, hey everybody, my name is Robert Bannon. You're here for another edition of the Roundtable. You know, I was trying to take a week off. I was trying to take spring break off. But you know, when it's Broadway spring season and all the big hot shows are coming out, and we've been lucky enough to do hundreds of episodes of this show and speaking to hundreds of people with over 1 million views on YouTube, and now a part of Broadway World and the Broadway Podcast Network, which is what you're listening to or watching right now. I can't take a week off because I'm so excited. I'm just excited to talk to amazing artists and workers and people who sing and create and make things and do things. So thank you for being here. Water for Elephants is playing right now. We have Rick Ellis on the Broadway World exclusive. You hear my dog in the background. He's excited as well. He's in trouble because he's eating yogurt. Yes, welcome to this messy show. Well, yogurt and all, Rick Ellis is on Broadway World, and Wade McCollum stopped by to talk about all things Water for Elephants. Take a peek. Well, you may have seen our guest right now up with Water for Elephants playing right now at the Imperial. We just chatted with him on the red carpet. You may have seen him in Wicked. You might have seen him in California, across this country in national tours. He's the guy. Did you know that Wade goes to school to be, I think he's like a neuroscientist, which makes him way too smart to be on this messy, trashy show. Wade, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert. I love messy, trashy.
Yes, we love messy. Well, then you're in the right place. Good. You really are in school for neuroscience?
Yes, I'm having the time of my life. I'm studying how we've co-evolved with stories neurobiologically and how we metabolize stories from a brain perspective. I also opened a medical music company that works with music and the brain to help alleviate anxiety and other use cases.
Oh, I need all of that. I need all the help I can get. Wait, what made you get involved in this? What was the moment that you said, this is what I need to also study and learn?
You know, over the pandemic was the only break I've ever had from the hustle of acting. And as we all know, the acting business, you know, you're always sort of looking for the next job. While you're in the show, you're sort of looking for the next thing, perhaps. And it was the first time where that had been paused and indefinitely. And I'd always had a desire to go back to school. I didn't actually graduate high school. I just went to a performing arts conservatory as a teenager and just kind of hustled as an actor for 30 years. And I had this dream of sort of like, what if I was an academic? And it was my opportunity to pursue that. So I started and opened these companies through Cornell Tech, and it's been a real amazing adventure.
Well, you have a fascinating story, because reading some research about you and looking about you, and you could, of course, while we're here, we're going to talk about Water for Elephants, but follow Wade on IG. If you're listening to us, it's his name. Go follow him on Instagram. And there's also, you can go to his website, wadesong.com, which has some information. You have been in this game. You've been touring. You've been across this country doing shows, national tours. The pictures of you and Priscilla I love it. Come on, Priscilla. And then, yeah, let's go. I'm here for it. And then you get to be on Broadway in the biggest monster of all, which is Wicked, and be the wizard and get to live your life in that. And when you add to it what I've read articles about that you've done, like on Huffington Post and different platforms that people have talked to you about your view of the world and because this is such a unique, this is amazing. The science and the art and how it all fits together. Because art, in my little humble trashy opinion, as we said, is what makes it, gives us so much peace, and it gives us so much joy. And music and art, it's universal. No matter where you sit in a political aisle, no matter what religion you are, no matter where you grew up in, you hear music, you hear storytelling, you watch television, and it transcends all of that to make us feel a certain way. What do you think the definition of an artist is?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. I honestly think everybody is an artist. I think we are all, I think human nature, I think perhaps one of the defining features of the human organism is creativity and art and collaboration. I think it is our superpower as a species. and really out of the box creativity. So I think inherently we're all sort of born with that artistic impulse, and then how that gets sort of, channeled and shaped, either encouraged or not throughout one's lifetime, is sort of, uh, every individual has their own experience. But I think we're all artists. I don't know if the definition is just being human, is that we're just, we make meaning out of the universe of chaos. And I think really an artist is a meaning maker. So I think that humans by nature tend to superimpose or interpret meaning out of what essentially is just a bunch of spinning subatomic particles.
And here we are. And that's it. Exactly right. Which is terrifying, which is why I need the music therapy, because I need to take more of my Xanax bottle. Options. So when you got Water for Elephants, which is, I just sat down and I talked for a long time with Rick Ellis, and it's coming out, a chat with him about what this story means. And he talked about him and his partner, his husband, Roger Rees, and how at the end of the show, there's lines in the show that relate to him personally that he put into this about relationships. And Water for Elephants, amongst the spectacle and the circus and the music and the fun, it's really a story about looking back on life and love. What is it like to tell this story and this arc every single night, 8 shows a week?
Oh, it's such a gift. It's such a gift. Arya, on opening, he came up on stage with everybody at the curtain call. So they were sort of much closer than normal in the wings, waiting near the end of the show. And quite a few of us, I know I personally, I just weep at the end of the show every single night because of what Rick has infused the show with, which is that such a deeply human feeling of grief and gratitude, and the sort of how we can hold both at the same time, and to love fiercely, knowing that it has an expiration date, that that there is an inevitable end to all things good and bad, and that impermanence is such a hard thing to articulate in the human experience. Theater is so good at it, and Rick as a writer is so specifically good at it. Arya came on stage and said, "You guys get to cry like that every night? Oh my God, how cathartic."
Truly. And so is the audience. The audience gets to see the spectacle and gets to see you all as a huge cast, a huge company with so many Broadway debuts, so many people that are brand new to this world, doing amazing things, and then get hit with that heartwarming part of the show as well. Look at this beautiful group of some of the people that are part of the show. And this cast is quite, the talents run from television to film to Broadway debuts to circus performers and acrobatics. How do you describe the camaraderie between you have to be close as a company, because there's a lot going on every single night on that stage.
Is necessary when doing circus arts, when you're quite literally catching each other. It elicits a sort of a palpable crackling trust. It's a different kind of trust than just sort of the emotional trust that actors go through, taking emotional risks or singing high notes. This is quite literally each other's lives in their hands. And so, yes, us as a company, we have to hold this really safe container. And acrobatics is necessarily wily. It's got this wild, feral, who knows what's going to happen. Of course, it is rigorously rehearsed and extremely ordered. And at the same time, because you're flying through the air and gravity does what it does, there is a little further over this way or a little further over that way. So we all have to have sort of uncanny spidey senses out and really be both flexible and, hold to the pattern at the same time. And that allows for us to feel a sense of trust. And I think the audience feels that too.
I think they do too. And if you're coming to see the show, but you can get your tickets, everybody needs to go get your tickets, waterforelephants.themusical.com. You can grab your tickets, go sit in the orchestra, like house right, stage left in the front. They'll be flying right over your head. I mean, you'll be a part of the show. So that's my tip. That's my audience member tip. Did you have a relationship with this before? Did you read the book? Did you watch the movie? How did you prepare for Wade? Or did you just show up and find your own way into him?
Yeah, I think I had just come back from the My Fair Lady tour. I had not read the book. I had not seen the movie. I had heard about the book because it was so wildly popular. Um, and yeah, strangely, I had a TV audition that like a few days prior, and the TV character's name was Wade. And I thought, well, that's weird. I've never auditioned for a character named Wade before, and it's sort of a rare name. And then not 3 days later, this Wade came over the desk, and I thought, wow, that's weird. And so my first interface with the material was that audition, and I fell in love.
And now you get to now Wade. I joked with you. I've joked about it on social media. I joked with you on the red carpet. I said you don't want to see Wade coming to you in the middle of the night. You want to get red lighted on the train. You told me you're not a bad Wade is not a bad person. He's a hurt person. He's a wounded person. And as an actor, is that fun to play? Is it exhausting to play? Is it invigorate? How do you feel about living in that space every night?
It sort of feels like that the complexity of PTSD, of a broken human who is working to do the best they can with the tools they have. A lot of times I say I blame poverty for a lot of the tragic events of the play. If these people, especially Wade, had the privilege of or just a good meal more than once a week, and some nurturing, it's perhaps possible that some of the more tragic events of the play wouldn't unfold. However, I also hold that because of Wade's choices, some more of the destructive choices that he makes throughout the play, those choices do allow Marlena and Jacob to live the rest of their lives together. So there is sort of this destruction before creation element that's being held. And so when I'm going through the sort of more shadowy, dark, tar-like emotions that feel sticky and horrible, I try to remember that there is the beauty, the light is that they spend 50 that Wade provides through sort of these radical acts of destruction. So it's sort of that human experience again of both and these sort of complex things simultaneously existing.
See, that's why they have a neuroscience to play the part. That's why there was a method to this madness. I know there was. If you're looking at Wade and you have seen him before, if you besides Broadway and My Fair Lady and Priscilla and all of those things, and like acting Wade, like Shakespeare, like not that I'm saying musical theater is not acting. I'm saying like Shakespeare though. Shakespeare is you've also done a lot of television work. If it's Madam Secretary or Law and Order or Prodigal Son and all of these shows that you have done, what do you enjoy? Like how do they both compare to one another? I ask a lot of actors, like it's such a different medium. So
I love camera acting. I find it terrifying, which is very exciting, because there's no hiding. And I find that really really invigorating as an actor. There's nowhere to turn. The camera will find you, and it will, read your mind in a way. So I find that really exciting in terms of, the work you can do is so much deeper and subtler at the same time. And there's less concern with sort of reaching the back row with choices. Wade in Water for Elephants is rather a subtle character in terms of the characters on stage. Who he's not really a performer in the circus. He's not at all. He's behind the scenes. Curate choices that I think can translate to the back row so that people back there can still understand what he's going through, and it's not just happening in my eyes. Whereas on camera, you don't have to have that concern. Your choices can be much more psychological, which is really fun. And there's a spontaneity to camera work where I think, a good director in TV and film is looking for happy accidents. You're really looking for the actor to be making discoveries and perhaps accidents and keeping those, curated accidents in a good way.
Well, when you get those credits like Law and Order, when you get those quintessential procedural New York City shows as a musical theater act, that's the problem with musical theater actors. You get sides, you go home to self-tape. Your team sends you sides for Law and Order, and if you bring that musical theater, it's such a different technique. It's just such a so for people to be able to do both, I find it always so fascinating to put the hat on as the television, camera actor versus the musical theater Broadway act. It's such a different medium.
Truth.
Is it something you learned? Is it something you did with training? Like, how important was training? You said you went to an acting conservatory in high school. How important was the training even to this day in your career?
I mean, vital. That PCPA is Pacific Conservatory of the Performing Arts, and that program really is sort of a trade, like a work trade program. They teach you how to be a professional actor, and all the way, how to show up on time, how to get the job, how to keep the job, how to do the job well. It's sort of blue collar in a way, and I really loved that about it. That it was really about and not getting caught in sort of the more esoteric or political aspects of the business. And so I found my favorite thing was like mopping the stage and taking care of the space. I just found that to be such a sacred thing that I don't really get to do very much anymore because of unions and other people who are hired to do those jobs. But it was a great thing, and they didn't do any camera acting. It was the 90s, and so very few people had little cameras to even practice. So if you got an on-camera course, it was there was a lot of technical setup involved. So I've just learned by doing, and I find that even with neuroscience, a lot of it is about mentorship, and it's about doing it. And through the course of sort of investigating and following curiosities, you sort of gather tools that are necessary for your process to understand how to deliver good work in whatever sort of channel or vertical you're working in.
Ooh, that's a beautiful answer. I like that answer a lot. When people come to Water for Elephants and you're at the stage door, or people see you after the show wherever, or you get messages on social media, etc. What do you hope that the people that you meet with or see or are in those 1,000+ seats every single night walk away with at 10:30 at night when the show's over, or on a Wednesday afternoon?
I think inspiration is sort of the umbrella to feel inspired, maybe to take more risks and to trust one another, to find a community of trust. And then I think also, because being alive is so hard so much of the time, I really do hope that people take away that some of the more suffering aspects of what we go through can lead to really beautiful things too. And that it's not that, we should seek out suffering or pain, but in those moments of suffering and pain, know that there is treasure to behold, and that we're all going through it together. It's a burden to be in a body, and that if we can hold each other with compassion and love, that perhaps on the other side of those hard times, maybe there's a soulmate, maybe there's the fruition of a lifelong dream.
Wade, if I would have known you 15 years ago, I could have saved all this money on my therapy, and you Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield would have been so happy, because that's beautiful. You are an artist. You are a songwriter too.
Yeah.
And look, he's got albums. Look at his music.
Oh, I'm such a baby.
Baby. But it's available to stream. You could stream your music and hear some more of your heart that makes art, and you could listen to it. Is that another outlet for you? Is it something that you still work on?
Yeah, I grew up on the road in a rock and roll band. So my dad's a drummer. So sort of picking up instruments and making shit up is just sort of like par for the course. And so, yeah, I just kind of always write music. And so I've written a few musicals, and I love the medium of musical theater, sort of the putting together of all the pieces. And
so we need to, everyone, stay up to date, follow Wade, see what's going on. And look, go to his website, wadesong.com, then you can find the music. Get your tickets, waterforelephants.themusical.com. And when you're walking through Times Square and you happen to see Wade at night after the show, he's not going to throw you off a train. He's not scary. Look how nice he is. But he's all scary for 2.5 hours every night in the Imperial. You're, woo! I'm very touched by your answers, your story, and the fact that, we can have it all. You can be a scientist, you can be a musical theater performer, you could write music, you can be on TV. We can have we don't have to always be in a box. And that's what I'm so moved by your story.
Thank you.
Go check out Wade. Go see this amazing cast. This cast is bananas talented up on stage every single night, and have an amazing run. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you, Robert. This has been so much fun.